Hi everyone! Today I'm showing you the new book from Lenka Filonenko. Now Lenka has brought out some beautiful books in the past. Her most recent one before this was called Enigma. It's an absolutely beautiful book which I have reviewed. So if you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the description for that one as well. But this is the most recent, and as you might know if you followed my channel for a little while, I've made mention of it here and there. I am quite interested in tarot, just as a bit of fun really. I'm not sort of in depth as a reader or anything like that, but I have got an interest in that kind of thing. So this book really excited me when I saw it. So let's delve straight in. It's got the same format and everything and the same materials as Enigma did, but in case you haven't seen that one yet, it has a really soft touch matte feel front cover. It is spiral bound on the left hand side, as you can see. We do have some gold foiling to the title, and on the back it's still got that same matte cover. It's a thick card. It's not a board or anything like that. It's a thick card. It says on the back, Art of Tarot is an artistic adult colouring book with the fascinating Major Arcana tarot cards theme. Colouring book contains 23 full-size tarot illustrations to colour, 22 cards to cut out of the book, colour and use for your readings, card descriptions of all Major Arcana tarot cards, basic card spreads for your readings, and the text in the book is both in English and Czech. So it's really sort of comprehensive, the way that she's put it together. You'll be able to interpret cards and things with the meanings inside. So this is an introduction about tarot, telling you that the tarot card deck consists of the Major Arcana, which is 22 cards, and the Minor Arcana, 56 cards. And it says the images in this book have been loosely inspired by the Rider-Waite Tarot imagery, which is the deck of cards that I've got. There's loads and loads of different tarot decks, all different themes, and the images are always slightly different, but the Rider-Waite is generally seen as the original tarot deck, so to speak. So in this colouring book, they focus on the Major Arcana, which is those 22 images, each of them symbolically depicting fundamental life situations and trials that we must gradually go through. Then it says how to use this colouring book. So you've got some card meanings. It says, before you start to colour an image, I recommend you read the meaning of the card first to have a better understanding of the image. The colours do have certain symbolic meanings in tarot, but if you do prefer intuitive colouring, just colouring whatever it is you think looks best on the page, then go for it. But if you do want to, look at the cards, look at what the colours mean and use those colours in your page, that's perfectly fine as well. And the cards at the end of the book are ready to be cut out with scissors. You can colour them and use them for your next tarot readings. So the first bit is all about card spreads, and as you can see, we've got it in Czech and we've got it in English. So it's telling you how to do various different spreads. You've got the one card spread, the simplest tarot reading. You focus on an issue that you've got at the moment, and this one card should give you a little bit of information. You've got the past, present, future spread. You've got the cross spread and the relationship spread, but there are, again, loads of different spreads you can do. So if you're interested, you can look that up online. So we've got the front cover image here for you to colour in. And then we move into the cards themselves. So I actually have my deck here. Well, this is the Major Arcana from my deck. I've picked them out so that we can have a look at the original card and see how different Lenka's interpretation is. So on the left hand side, we've got the meaning of the card. It says that, for example, the Fool is a card of new beginnings, opportunity and potential. So then it talks about upright cards and reversed cards. So sometimes in a spread, you will pick a card and it will come out upside down, and that's called the reverse card. Now, not all readers work like this. If it's reversed, they'll just use it as it is, but the more sort of traditional readers will take the reversed position as having some extra meaning. So that could be that it's got a bit of an opposite meaning to what the card usually means, or sometimes it's slightly more negative. It really depends on how the reader decides to do it. So that's the upright and reverse cards. Then it tells you the colour hints. So it says here that on this card it has multicoloured clothes, meaning many possibilities, a yellow sky, bright sunlight, hope and prosperity, wide possibilities, and the white rose in the hand means purity and innocence. So there have been some artistic differences, of course, but you can see that all of the cards do have the major themes running through them that you would find in the original deck. So we've got the dog here pulling at the clothes, and of course that white rose, and them stood on the edge of a cliff top. That's really important because the Fool is often seen as someone who doesn't look before they leap. So that's what I always remember when I see them stood on the cliff top, someone that dives into things without really thinking it through. So I should mention that I'm not, a professional reader or anything like that. It's just something that I get out from time to time just to have a bit of fun. But if I do remember sort of bits and bobs about cards, I'll put it in here as well, just for people who might be a bit curious. So the next one is the Magician. I'll put this card to the side so you can look at it at the same time. Hopefully you can see that. Yep. The Magician is a skilled master of creativity and manifestation, turning ideas into action while using all the tools, the 4 elements that are at his disposal. It's a very powerful card, this one, meaning powerful creation, determination, inspiration, all the shins, science, skill, logic and practice. And then if it is in the reverse position, it does have a slightly different meaning. So communication blocking, confusion, deceit, lack of energy, fear to take leadership and resignation. So the colour hints that Lenka has put down here are a white and red dress, as you can see, and that means pure mind and personal creative power, and then the yellow sky. A lot of them do have yellow skies. That means hope and prosperity and possibilities. So that's that one. Before we carry on, I'll just mention a little bit about the paper. It is a very thick cardstock. It's not what I would determine as a paper. It is a card. Let's do the ping test. So really thick, and it does have a very, very light tooth to it. It's perfect for colouring with pencils and markers. So, if you're not bothered about the stuff that's on the back, use your alcohol markers, chuck your paints at it, do whatever you like. So that's the Magician. Next up is the High Priestess. So this is a card of intuition and inner knowledge. The High Priestess is a bridge between the dualities of the world, black and white, masculine and feminine, day and night, goodwill and evil, positive and negative. And she knows that both are equal. She has access to the deep unconscious and can lead us into a spiritual growth. So it is very much, to me, a card that I would interpret as spirituality, possibly religion, and about the power of femininity as well. So the upright card, intuition, mystery, higher power, inner voice, divine feminine, personal spiritual growth. And the reversed card is about repressed intuition, hidden motives, lack of information. So quite often, it is the opposite of what the card means in its upright position. So one thing I always remember about the High Priestess, I don't think Lenka has put it in on this now. So one thing I remember when I look at this card is that she's holding this scroll, but some of it is hidden behind her shawl. So often when I've drawn this card, I take it to mean that not all is as it seems. There's more to things than meet the eye. So there's something that's hidden or not quite seen that you need to think about. So the colour hints for this, trees are white and black because that represents the duality of the 2 opposing forces. And then you have a sky blue dress that represents thinking deeply and wisdom. So we then have the Empress, and this has a strong connection with femininity. So whenever I draw this card, I'm drawn to everything that is the maternal, the feminine. So oftentimes this card represents to me possibly a baby coming in the future, that sort of fertility, nurturing kind of theme. So it says, connect with your feminine energy, treat yourself and express yourself creatively. There are new ideas, projects or things ready to be born into your world. Make sure you nurture and accomplish them. Then the colour hints on this, red flowers on the white dress, as you can see, which represents fertility. And the yellow sky, hope and prosperity. We've been there before. So again, you can see there are certain elements that have been taken from this, but obviously changed artistically. We've got the river in the background here. We've got this symbol of feminine here, and there's lots of roses and things. So she doesn't have the roses on her dress, but she is holding them and is surrounded by them. There's also the stars on the crown. I know that the amount of stars does have a meaning, but I can't quite remember what it is. I do remember, though, when I met Alan Robert, who designs the Beauty of Horror books, he gave me this card that he's got for his tarot deck that he's bringing out. And if you can see, the Empress on here has very much the same elements. So we've got that feminine symbol, we've got the water in the background, and also the stars on the crown. I remember there being a meaning to that, but I can't remember what it is. So that was the Empress. We then have the Emperor. So this is her counterpart. The Emperor is the symbol of the masculine and represents a ruling leader. As a controlling, powerful figure, the Emperor represents the paternal archetype in life that gives structure, creates rules and systems. It says that whereas the Empress's desire for her kingdom is to create happiness, the Emperor desires to foster honour and discipline and all that his kingdom will benefit from. So when I pick the Emperor, I often say to people, you know, people as in like my sister or my husband or whoever I'm doing it for, I will say that this means that there is a very strong male figure somewhere at the moment. If this is a present card reading, I would say somewhere at the moment you've got a really strong male figure that is possibly a bit overbearing, but is having a huge influence on things that are going on at the moment. But if it, you know, it doesn't always have to mean that. It can talk about the person you're reading for. So it could say that you are a very stable, structured person that likes to have a lot of control. So, I mean, there's so many ways you can interpret these cards. So the colour hint, the red clothes symbolise strength of heart, vitality and masculinity. The reddish-brown sky and background represents deserted and arid environment. So arid, I would take that to mean a very sort of rigid, very harsh almost environment that doesn't change. It's very strong and it stays where it is, and it you know, there's not a lot of room for movement there. So that's the kind of way I would interpret it. Next is the Hierophant, which is sort of the counterpart to me to the High Priestess. So you would see this card as the High Priest or the Pope, representing a leader of religious or spiritual tradition. So there is some slight differences between the High Priestess and the Hierophant. The Hierophant is more conventional and traditional, whereas the High Priestess is the more intuitive sort of sense. So this card symbolises tradition, education, spiritual guidance, religious beliefs and rituals. And then in its reverse position, it symbolises the opposite: rebellion, unconventionality, non-conformity, ignorance, intolerance. So everything that the card is, it's the opposite. Again, the red clothes symbolise that strength of heart and will. So this card is all about relationships, but not necessarily, you know, a relationship between you and your partner. It is all about balance and opposites and how they sort of feed off of each other. You've heard opposites attract. It's about recognising that and making them work together. So the key words are love, harmony, relationships, the unity of opposites, and the reversed cards are disharmony, imbalance, separation and misalignment. So the red wings of the angel mean passion and impulsiveness, and the blue sky with the yellow sun symbolises consciousness and awareness. So the Chariot is all about overcoming conflict and moving forward in a positive direction. As you can see, we've got the guy sat on top of the chariot with the horses, and it definitely is a card of motion. So I always think about that. It's about moving forward and, you know, going into new projects, new journeys. So it says here, once we decide which direction to take, we need to hit the road and stop hesitating. The charioteer must focus and use his ability to control his emotions and thoughts to lead the two horses or sphinxes in some decks, as you can see here, to set the goal. And these two horses here are black and white because they're meant to be two opposing forces. So keywords for this card: journey, ambition, drive, willpower. And the reversed is lack of direction, scattered energy, self-doubt. So colour hints, again, we've got the black and white that I just mentioned about polarising forces, and the yellow sky, hope and prosperity. We know all about that. Next card is strength. So whenever I pull this card, even though it has on this original card a lady that seems as though she's trying to control this lion here and close his jaws, the next one is strength, and whenever I pull this card, I always think that even though it's depicted as a lady trying to control and overcome this lion, it is all about emotional strength and mental strength. It's not about the physical. So it represents the inner power, as Lenka has said here, symbolised by the woman in the white dress that is gently caressing a fully grown lion. The lion represents the animal, instinctive and wild nature, and the lady is sort of taming him in a way. It's all about refining that wildness and understanding your raw nature, accepting it, but turning it into a source of strength and passion. So if I pulled this card, I would say to you that you have got the strength and the confidence to overcome any of your fears. Don't worry about any challenges coming your way. Don't have those doubts and those little niggling fears. You have the mental and emotional strength to overcome it. So, keywords: strength, courage, compassion, focus. Reversed card: self-doubt, weakness, insecurity. The colour hints: white clothes for the purity, and the yellow sky is, of course, our hope and prosperity. So we've got the Hermit card now. Now, you might think the Hermit is somebody that just lives alone and doesn't see anybody. But when it comes to tarot, I always interpret it as just looking inside yourself. So you need to kind of focus on what's going on inside you and sort of don't think about other people. Take that time and space away from everything to really evaluate what's going on with you. So it's a very contemplative card, this one. So it's all about soul searching, basically, and reflecting on yourself. And in reverse, this can mean loneliness, isolation, paranoia, fear, but usually it's just about looking inside and finding that inner guidance. So let's have a look at how Lenka has interpreted it. So you've got the staff, you've got the candle or the lantern, and you can see that Lenka's put the lady inside a cave. So again, it's all about going within and focusing on yourself and what's going on inside. Next one is the one that I've coloured. It's a beautiful card and it's called the Wheel of Fortune. Now, I didn't really think about the colour hints or anything like that when I coloured this. I just looked at it and I thought, right, this is what I want to colour. So that's what I did. Now, the Wheel of Fortune card is all about change, and it is one of my favourite cards because there's been a lot of periods in my life where I felt so low and so deep in the hole that I didn't think I would ever come back out of it. And this card reminds you that everything is cyclical. It will come back around. Nothing ever stays static in life. So that's what always sort of lifts me up about this card. It's also about fortune, obviously, Wheel of Fortune. So good luck and good fortune will be making their return to your life very soon if you pull this card. But, you know, equally, if you are going through that bad time, it's just to remind you that it will get better because everything always changes in the end. The wheel is always turning. One time you might be down here on the bottom of the wheel, but, you know, it will go round and you'll be at the top again. So the card also represents karma. Whatever you do, positive or negative, it will come back to you. What goes around comes around, and life cycles. So the only colour hint is the clear blue sky, which I have done anyway, so that's fine. But you can see here we've got the Wheel of Fortune and we've got the changing seasons to represent that constant change and that cyclical nature. We have the Phoenix, which is rising from the flames. We've also got the snake. I'm not really sure what he represents. We've got the sun and the moon and then a couple of different astrology symbols here. Really enjoyed doing this one, as you can probably tell. I really like doing the glow on the phoenix and on the snake, and yeah, I think it's turned out really well. So the next card is Justice. This represents the archetype of truth, justice and balance. So you can see here she's holding the scales, she's balancing things, and she's coming to conclusions to find out which way the scales are going to tip, and that's the scales of justice, of course. So it's about honesty and balance and fairness, and also cause and effect. So, you know, one thing that you do may affect something else, you know, that kind of thing. And morality, really. So if you do get this in a reverse position, it's the opposite of that. It's unfairness, dishonesty, and maybe some flaws legally. So say that you're going through something legal at the moment and it's upside down, I would say that there is something that you need to look at there. It's not right. Things are not right. So, you know, corruption and things like that. Red clothes symbolise the will and activity. Violet background. This one doesn't have a violet background, but maybe the cards that Lenka was looking at did. That represents cautious action, deep thought, and a noble class. So the next card is the Hanged Man, and this is what I call stuck in a rut card. So whenever I get this, I know that somebody is feeling stuck, feeling like nothing is changing, it's very stagnant, and that's what it means. You're hanging around, you're waiting around for something to change, but it won't change unless you make it happen. Now, if you can see on the card itself, he's hanging from what looks like a bootlace or something on this tree or whatever it is here. He's hanging from, and you can see that he is free to reach up and untie that bond if he wants to, but he isn't. So it's almost like saying you're allowing this to happen. You can change how things are at the moment. You can get out of the rut if only you would reach up and pull yourself down. So that's what I always say when I get this card. It's saying that he or she experiences a feeling of stiffness and inability to move. Here we go. So it says, note that the person on the card is actually in this position voluntarily, which is what I was saying. But this position also allows you to view the situation from a different perspective or a different point of view. So you can think sometimes that you're helpless to change things, but you're really not. You can make anything happen in your life, and it just takes that motivation and that will to actually get things moving and change things, which is very, very hard sometimes, believe me, I know. So the upright card means letting go, sacrificing, pausing to reflect, breaking old patterns. And in the reverse position, it's what we talked about with negative patterns, stagnation, and things like that. So the colour hints is the grey background for calm, stable, and not swayed by emotions. Next up we have Death, and people, as soon as they get this card, they think, oh my god, that's the worst card you can pick, but it really isn't. It's actually one of my favourite cards because it's talking about the death of a situation that has been hard for you or very challenging, and something new starting up after that. So let's have a look what Lenka's put. The card is not usually about the physical death, it's about the metaphysical death of our old self. Projects, situations or relationships that do not serve us for good anymore, we must either completely transform them or end them so we can move on and start a new chapter. So ending of a cycle, change, transformation, getting rid of excess. So if this came up with a Wheel of Fortune, for example, I would say definitely change is coming very, very imminently. Bad things are going to end. You're going to get a new lease of life. So the colour hints, black clothes for darkness and authority. The white rose symbolises purification through transformation. Yeah, we have the rose here. And the golden fields in the background represent a ripe harvest. Next card is Temperance. So this is the card of balance, patience and moderation. You're invited to avoid any extremes and choose the middle path. Manage your emotions, try to stay calm and focused even in challenging or stressful situations. The card also advises you to identify and seek the missing ingredients in your life and work with your known skills and abilities to reach your goal. So keywords are balance, moderation, good health and finding solutions. The colour hint is red wings of the angel is the element of fire, the sky blue for clear, transparent calmness, and the white robe represents purity. We then have the Devil, and this is, to me, all about those kind of base desires in life, your wild side, raw sexuality, things like that. So the Devil card implores you to look closely at the areas of your life in which you feel trapped or out of control. This card, just as the Lover's card speaks to duality and choice, so does the Devil. However, with the Devil, you're choosing the path of instant gratification, even if it's at the expense of your long-term well-being. The man and the woman in the image have chains around their necks that link back to the Devil, signifying the control that he has over them. So it's about drawing your attention away from the more base desires and the instant gratification, and more moving towards things that really matter and might take, longer to get there, but will be more beneficial in the end. So the keywords are material focus, trapped in bondage, addictions and depression, negative thinking and betrayal. and the colour hints is just the black background. It doesn't say why, but just the black background. Next we have the Tower, and when I draw this one, I say to people that there is a sudden change that is coming. It's going to come completely out of the blue. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be something bad, but it will shake up your foundations in a big way, whatever it is. So it says here, the Tower is commonly associated with sudden unforeseen change. It seems to be a solid structure, but because it's been built on shaky foundations, it only takes one bolt of lightning to bring it down. So it's definitely a card of upheaval and a bit of chaos, but you need that chaos in order to move through and get back on the right path. So that's the Tower. You can see we have a couple of people falling from the Tower here. It's on fire from the lightning. I'm not entirely sure what the crown means, but maybe it is that thing of having your crown knocked off and just not, you know, all of a sudden not knowing where to turn and everything being up in the air. The next card is a beautiful one. It's the Star. Now the Star follows the Tower card, bringing renewed hope and faith after all that chaos. It's a sense that you're truly blessed by the universe, and it's here to help heal your scars and show you that now is the time to open your heart and connect with your higher self. So it's all about good health, hope, inspiration, opportunities and renewal. The blue sky, clear, transparent. The yellow star, brightness, possibilities, hope, and green grass. Now this card is a really complex card. In fact, it might even be the most complex card in the whole deck, because whenever I draw this, the first thing I come to is depression. And like I said earlier, every card reader will have a different feeling about a card. And this one just always symbolises hopelessness and desolation and that kind of depression, that black dog. So let's see what Lenka's written. The moon is often interpreted as a card of illusion and deception, showing your fears that you have pushed down into your subconsciousness. Now is time to face them. So yeah, I mean, I think the more common interpretation of the card that is, it's about deception. Somebody has betrayed you, deceived you in some way, and it's all about that sort of dark side of the moon and that time when you're feeling at your lowest. It's like you've been through a really difficult trial. So that's how I see the card. It's a bit of a sad card, this one. I always sort of feel a bit ugh when I draw it. But yeah, it has lots and lots of different meanings, and it's a very deep card. I think there's a lot of things you could take from it. So after the moon, we have the rising of the sun, which is associated with good fortune, happiness, joy and harmony. So I guess it's coming out of, you know, that bad period that you would have had with the moon. It's all about enlightenment, joy, material happiness, success, vitality, marriage as well. The white horse symbolises innocence and purity, and the massive red flag symbolises life plans, passion, energy and enthusiasm. Judgment is all about evaluating your life, just stopping to think and make sure that everything you're doing is in line with your own values and you're on the right path. So it's all about leaving the past behind and thinking about the future, going forward and making sure that you are in the right place to go forward. It often indicates you need to make a life-changing decision or make some choice. So after you do reflect on everything, you will be able to choose the option that is right for you. Blue sky, red wings of the angel and grey background on this one. The World is the final card in the Major Arcana, and it's the card of achievement, fulfillment and wholeness. Also of travelling, because, you know, the world. But it indicates you're very close to reaching the end of a life cycle or a period in time, and you're going to achieve and accomplish your goal and purpose. The seeds you've planted are now blooming and you're reaping the fruit of your labour. So completion, accomplishment, success, a sense of belonging and travel. The green wreath and the red ribbon on top symbolise infinity, a cycle and success. And the violet wrap around the woman signifies deep meaning, nobility, spirituality and authority. So I'll just read this little paragraph here from Lenka. It says, Here we are at the end of the whole adventurous journey of consciousness development. Our pilgrimage began with the Fool card when we jumped right into the unknown without any experiences and knowledge. This journey gradually led us to various kinds of situations. With each card of the major arcana, we've gained necessary experiences and understanding that we needed to move forward. Here with the World card, we've completed this cycle and raised our consciousness and life understanding one level up again. And because life goes on, we'll soon be ready to take the Fool's next adventure. So again, it's all about cycles and things like that. It's all a bit of fun. Some people take it very, very seriously. I really don't. But that's just me. Now, Lenka's put in some cards for you to cut out, colour and use to do some readings. So she recommends laminating them so that they're more durable. But you can see we've got smaller images of all the ones we've seen. The Fool, the Magician, etc. And then on the back we have the Art of Tarot symbol. So that's all of those. Again, it's really, really thick card, so you'll have no problem at all using these as actual cards. And then a couple of little ones at the end, just thank you. Yes, I guess you could send them to somebody if you wanted. And there are all of Lenka's other books. So as I mentioned, Enigma, then we have Colours of Summer, Astrolandia is a great one. And that's it. So this has been a really long review, I know. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope you found it interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think. Of course, the link to buy this book will be in the description below if you want to get yourself a copy. But yeah, it's really, really well made. As I say, if you have Lenka's previous book, Enigma, it's exactly the same. Bright white paper, nice and thick. A lovely tooth on it for coloured pencil. What more can you say? Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.